Now, Fertilizer Price Control Bill 2013. Sri Vivek Gupta. Vivek Gupta is there? Oh, okay, okay. You can move.
Sir, I
To move for the consideration of the bill. And you can speak. Speak on the bill.
Sir, I would like to begin by narrating a small true story that happened in a rural part of Bengal with a rural farmer. Sir, one night a distressed farmer came and told his wife that I have decided to commit suicide. And his wife was shocked, but she soon recollected her wits and asked him, why do you want to commit suicide? And he says, I don't have money to buy fertilizers, I don't have money to buy pesticides, I don't have money, I don't know how we will do farming or what I will do. And his wife said, why don't you do the farming without it? And see for 1 year what happens. Anyways, if it happens, it happens, it does not happen. So he did that year his crop without using fertilizers. And he managed to survive that year. But the next year again the same story repeated. So from here in I want to start that fertilizer is as important as seed in our green revolution and in our country's growth and progress for self-sufficiency in food grains storage. So before I speak, sir, fertilizer is a subject which is passionate for all of us. It is close to all our hearts. Why is it so, sir? Let me give you a few background. So 26 crore people are classified as agriculture workers who work in the farms and the fields. They are spread across 72 homogenic agroclimatic zones. 86% are having marginal and small holding size, which makes farming unremunerative at times. And 72% of these farmers cultivate in dry and medium rainfall regions. So some statistics needs to be known before we, and I would like to, through you, I would like to have the attention of the Honorable Minister who's just handled charge and he can probably do something. So we have an installed capacity of 364 lakh metric tons of urea, but we only produce 150 lakh metric tons. The consumption is, however, 255 lakh metric tons. So the source of all this information is Indian Fertilizer Scenario 2012-2013, Ministry of Fertilizers. So going ahead with our noble cause that our Prime Minister has given to the rest of the country, Make in India. Sir, I don't understand when we have the capacity, why we don't make in India these fertilizers and import and resort to imports. The installed capacity is not being used. In fact, our current production is lower even than 2008 levels. Sir, the imports also are a heavy drain on our foreign exchange. Sir, I would also like to show that the public versus private capacity is very interesting, that the public capacity is remaining steady and the private capacity is growing. So whatever growth is coming in, from the private sector. Sir, as far as farm yield is concerned, United States of America has 7,340 kilos per hectare. China has 5,900. Even our neighbor Bangladesh has 4,384 kilos per hectare. But so we are somewhere still at 3,000 kilos per hectare. India is at the 27th place out of 47 countries in terms of productivity. At one point of time, we were the third largest producers of fertilizers. So now I would like to come to a portion of my bill why I moved this bill, and the inspiration of this bill was my leader, Honorable Shri Mamata Banerjee. So from 2012 to 2014, the price of DAP has grown up from 14,350 rupees per ton to 23,900 rupees per ton. So these are the prices I'm quoting for Bihar, Odisha and Bengal markets. The MOP has gone from 14,400 to 17,892 rupees. And SSP has gone from 4,000 to 10,300. So the urea price fortunately has stayed stable. So it has become skewed and lopsided. The every farmer now wants to use urea because that is the only fertilizer still available at old prices. So, what has happened because of our the latest subsidy scheme or formula, I am a manufacturer is now reimbursed on a cost plus basis. So whatever his cost is, whether he is an efficient manufacturer or inefficient manufacturer, he is reimbursed on a cost plus basis. From the MRP, we are deducting his cost and we are reimbursing the difference to him. Sir, I think if this formula has some flaws in it, this makes a manufacturer not give any attention to his cost of production, to the various factors. So also when we are giving the manufacturer natural gas or some other natural resources at concessional or almost free, that is also not taken into consideration while arriving at the subsidy figure that is given to him. So since 1960s, from the Green Revolution time, various schemes, policies the government has formulated to control or decontrol fertilizers and the consumption patterns. But sadly enough, 2010 was the first time nutrient-based subsidy scheme was introduced. But even in this scheme, it was based on the contents of nitrogen, potassium and others. But freight cost, a lot of other components were given due weightage in it. But again, as I said earlier, sir, again to repeat myself, the subsidy amount is calculated in a very peculiar manner, thereby making the manufacturer the only person who gains from it. And companies get the subsidy amount even before this fertilizer reaches the farmer. So the moment the FCO certifies it at the state level, the subsidy amount is released. So on a per ton basis, some of the DAP and some other fertilizers, the subsidy has been reduced from 2011 to 2012. For example, in DAP, from the subsidy amount used to be 16,000 rupees per metric ton, it has now come down to 13,000 per metric ton, whereas the prices have gone up. So the human side of this bill, which is very important, which is why our leader inspired me to do it. So we have 3 lakh farmers in India who have committed suicide. And yearly average of 16,700 people commit suicide since 2001 every year. We have 46 farmer suicides every day, or one nearly every half hour. In fact, as we speak, till the time this bill is discussed, we'll probably have one more suicide also. Sir, because of various difficulties faced by the farmers, some 80 lakh farmers have quit farming since 2001. So even in a year when the loan waiver scheme was given, some 20,000 farmers committed suicide. So there is some peculiarity also when I did try to do some research as to what is the current position of the fertilizer industry. So I'll be discussing some part of it before I come. So the fertilizer amount of subsidy disbursed has from in 1990 it was 4,000 crores. Till 2009 it was a happy situation. It went up to 99,495 crores. Sir, but last year, 2013 or 2014, it has come down to 70,000 crores. So we see a drop in the amount of subsidy. So farmers right now, because of the, as I mentioned earlier, there is no incentive to them to use any other substitute for urea. So this completely defies any logic. So if the other fertilizers are more helping them to give them more yield, or are helping them a particular climate or particular geography or particular need a particular crop he's growing, everyone is now using urea rather than any other subsidy, just because urea is the only fertilizer right now enjoying subsidy. So government companies or private companies are also not being incentivized to set up new plants or to continue production, because they are getting the reimbursement of subsidy very, very delayed. In fact, the total outstanding is something like 20,000 crores of these companies. Sir, India, 90% of our phosphorus subsidy is imported. Potassium is also being imported. In fact, sir, very interestingly, fertilizer, which used to be a controlled commodity, has been put under open general license. So even the manufacturing in India is, so because of whatever technological advancement, if you do not have natural gas, manufacturing of fertilizer has actually become little unremunerative. So curiously, in India, although I have no problem with that, Gujarat has 18 plants and Bihar has 1 plant. These are the total of the 19 plants that India has. Sir, I have no problem if Gujarat can increase the plants, but I would like all the fertilizer to be produced in India at least and not to be imported. So whenever I was doing my research, I could not find any robust mechanism which sets targets for consumption or monitors the consumption of fertilizer itself on a farm basis, on a production basis, on crop basis, on climate basis. So we might have some information sharing with the farmers, but they, whatever information has been given is to use fertilizer, use pesticide, but not how much to use, when to use, how to use. That detailed information has not been given to them. Sir, for 12 crore farmers, farm holdings, we have only 1,000 soil testing centers. So we do not even know what is the condition of our soil, whether they require fertilizer particular year, whether they require extra fertilizer or not. That is also not known to us. Sir, another interesting fact I came across, that this subsidy is being enjoyed by rich and poor farmers both. Sir, I would like to make a distinction. So we are a developing nation. Subsidy, to the best of my knowledge, is meant for the poorest of the poor farmers. It is intended for those people who cannot afford. Sir, people in Chhatarpur and people who have large holdings of land, certainly to the best of my wisdom, do not need subsidies. They can very well do without it, sir. However, because subsidy is given at source, we have no control on the consumption of subsidy itself. Sir, I would like to draw the attention of the Honorable Minister through you, if something could be done to target subsidy to the poorest of the poor farmers and not to the rich people. Sir, the subsidy amount, as I mentioned earlier, has been reducing gradually from 99,000 crores to 70,000 crores. But yet, it has not solved the problem. And I don't know, sir, whether this reduction was a good thing to be done or not. However, I don't know under what wisdom, but in 2014, June, the subsidy to naphtha was discontinued. Overnight, it forced down all naphtha-based fertilizer plants in the country to shut down, without having any recourse to any alternates or any switchover mechanism. So our imports this year, from July onwards, are bound to shoot up. In fact, one of our PSUs, one of the shining companies, Madras Fertilizers Limited, Chennai, is a PSU using naphtha, is awaiting the government's confirmation of either for gas allocation or to shut it down. So there is no doubt that the gas-based fertilizer plants are much more effective. In fact, the figures are very stark, from 11,000 rupees per ton for an efficient gas-based plant to 40,000 per ton for plants on alternate feedstock as naphtha, fuel oil, etc. Sir, here I would like to draw your attention that there's an interesting situation. Oman and India have a joint venture with the Oman, and the joint venture was a win-win situation. They were providing us cheap natural gas and we were manufacturing the fertilizer there. But sir, curiously, whatever fertilizers manufactured there is not bought into the country, because Oman does not need that much of fertilizer. We can easily bring back the entire production here. Or we can increase the joint venture size and scale and everything, because the cost of the fertilizer made by that joint venture is still cheaper than what we are importing by a huge amount. So I would like to draw the Honorable Minister's attention that if he's aware, very good. If he's not aware, to comment on this also. Sir, with fertilizer, sir, I would also like to draw the attention of the House about something that the farmer still has a problem, that is the crop insurance. Sir, even after using the fertilizer or something, sometimes his crop is destroyed, and not only because of natural calamities. In fact, I mean, if the fertilizer is bad or something, and there has been some quality problem in or something, he has nowhere to go. I mean, even after his best effort, and even when he cannot blame God or natural calamity, he still suffers. There is also no protection for him as a consumer. He has no protection there as well. Sir, another dubious thing that is existing is that the FCO mechanism, the same authority is checking the quality and the same authority is disbursing subsidy, thereby concentrating the power in one hand. Sir, I think that is not a desirable practice. I think if there could be two separate entities, it would benefit everybody. Environmentally also, sir, 6 million tons of chemical fertilizers are getting washed into our river Ganga. I have in the past myself spoken about river Ganga because it's very close to my heart, because my forefathers were from Banaras and Rajasthan. And our Prime Minister itself is from Banaras, and our Prime Minister is also very passionate about river Ganga. Sir, this is an area of concern. I don't know how, but I just want to draw the Honorable Minister's attention to it. Maybe he can suggest something how this can be avoided. So now I would like to move to my suggestions. So one is obviously what I have mentioned in my bill. If the government can somehow control the prices and this MRP formula, because this MRP formula is going to take care, is growing faster than the inflation as well. So I don't know, I'm just giving some radical thoughts. Maybe they are practical, maybe they are not practical. But, maybe the fertilizer is given to the farmers through the public distribution system, just like the ration shop we have, which gives us grains, food grains and other things at a controlled price. So maybe the fertilizer could also be distributed so that the whole dealer, distributor, manufacturer nexus is eliminated from the whole distribution, and the farmer gets it at a nominal regular basis, rather than being dependent on the dealer-distributor nexus. So some kind of study an assessment should be undertaken. The size of land holding, what is the crop, what is the climate, what is the soil quality, and then a farmer could be suggested, slowly, gently, advised, cajoled on the amount of fertilizer he needs, and only that much amount of fertilizer should be subsidized. Anything he should be using over and above that should be discouraged, because again, fertilizer should be used to the optimum. It should not be wasted, because, sir, importing fertilizer or spending money on fertilizer means we are spending precious natural resource. Sir, I'm sure with growth in technology, even the fertilizer quality standards have taken quantum jump, and there could be different qualities be made available at different stages. Because when we were doing some test research in Bengal, we were told that certain fertilizers you need to use X quantity to get Y output, but certain quantity you could only by paying slightly more, but you could half X of a different quality, but you could still get Y. So that study also needs to be done, and some action needs to be taken there on that also. So we could target the subsidy in such a manner that for every increase in production or yield, the farmer is allotted some more better quality fertilizer or some better quality stuff. Sir, I'm not allowed in the house, otherwise I have a picture of a farmer carrying fertilizer in his Mercedes. I don't think, sir, that's a very nice picture for all of us, Guy who owns a Mercedes carrying a fertilizer to the farm. No offense meant to either of the fertilizer. Sir, like the electricity companies, sir, even the fertilizer companies have their own concerns. They are saying that we do not get money from the government, we have huge outstanding. And so right now, their EBITDA margins or their profit margins are fluctuating wildly. I mean, at times they make abnormal profits. At times they are going for takeover bids of other companies. So because like electricity is a necessity for all urban and rural people, Even fertilizer is a necessity for our farmers. If there could be some formula where there are profits and where it's calculated and it's fixed, or it's something it can be bought in a price range band, I think it will discourage them for going for unholy tactics. Sir, agriculture is free of income tax in India. So, sir, I don't know if this double benefit scheme should continue. At least those who get subsidy, again, I'm coming back to the same thing. The poorest of the poor deserve it, sir. They deserve it more than anybody else. But this could be discouraged for the rich farmers, sir. So we should promote the use of biofertilizers. Sir, with this, I come to the end of my suggestions. I put this bill on the floor of the House. So this subject was very passionate of our dear leader, and she has said that for every increase in fertilizer, the farmer is sacrificing some part of his life. And at times he goes to sell his wife's jewelry or whatever he finds in the house, but he is addicted to the use of fertilizer and pesticides. So let's try and make his life as much easy as possible. With that, I commend this bill. Thank you, sir.
श्रीमती विजयला सत्यनाथ.
Time constraint. Thank you, Deputy Chairman, sir, for giving me an opportunity to express my views on this most important bill, because it deals with the poorest of the poor people. The main people of our country, who are the farmers, 80% of India live in the villages. And without the farmers keeping their leg inside the soil, we could not keep our hands inside our food. This has been said by our great leader, Dr. MGR. Shri Vivek Gupta has got a radical move to propose this bill to provide for the fixing of maximum retail price of all fertilizers by the central government and for matters connected therewith. An incidental thereto, and it is for consideration taken up. As you all know that the fertilizer prices, a fertilizer is a chemical product, either mined or manufactured material containing one or more essential plant nutrient that are immediately or potentially available in sufficiently good amounts. Actually, the Green Revolution took place in our country, and recently, after our Honorable Dr. Prachitalavi Amma took over as the Chief Minister in 2011, she brought out a green revolution in our state. The first and the foremost, there was the farmers. They have to take the soil owned by themselves to the testing centers, test the soil, and find out which will enable them to have the high yield crops. So at that time, everyone had a great intention to take the soil, take it to the testing centers. Agriculture farmers, they took it to the center, tested the soil, and they had a very good capable seeds which was rightly fixed to suit with the soil conditions. And it was hybrid seeds which were given, and cash crops and more productive cash crops were initiated, and there was a wide range of agricultural, a great revolution happening in Tamil Nadu. And recently in the India Today, magazine, we have seen, all of us have seen that Tamil Nadu has achieved the overall development in the country in all the fields, especially in the field of agriculture. Because agriculture has been given the more important, vital component in our state. The Tamil Nadu government has urged the center to continue providing subsidy for naphtha, as rightly said, based fertilizer plants till gas connectivity is established to these plants. Madras Fertilizers Limited, the Southern Petrochemicals Industries Corporation, the SPIC, and the MPL have shut operations at their urea plants as the center has decided to stop subsidies. Both the plants have a combined capacity of 1 million tons per annum, production capacity of 1 million tons per annum. SPIC plant is located at Tuticorin, while MFIL has its plant in Manali, near Chennai. The Tamil Nadu Chief Minister said that the closure of these plants would adversely affect the livelihood of hundreds of workers. The Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu said, while the two plants has made necessary investments for gas conversion, the non-availability of gas and associated infrastructure makes it difficult for them to use gas as their feedstock. And the Tamil Nadu Chief Minister also said there would be an annual revenue loss of rupees 220 crore in form of VAT, which is being paid by SPIC and MFL. The cost differential between gas and naphtha would be negligible if oil marketing companies supply gas at the rate of export parity price instead of levying the import parity prices coupled with their margin. And the Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu said the move to import 1 million tons of urea additionally this year would not reduce subsidies. In order to overcome any shortfall, the Department of Fertilizers has allotted mostly imported urea to Tamil Nadu in this highest harvest situation. Because the demand goes furthermore. If the demand goes up, urea could always be imported, which is cheaper than that from the domestic market. They say, industry sources say, while the maximum retail price for a farmer was around 5,500 per ton, the subsidy was around 3,800 per ton. They added that the cost of imported urea was $250 to $350 a ton. In 2013-14, of around 2,700 crore revenue for MFL, government subsidy was 2,300 crores. Noted company officials said the government has issued a direction to convert the existing facility to gas from naphtha before June 30th, 2014, failing which the subsidy may be withdrawn. And I am very much urged the central government to take up this issue as a very serious issue, because you know the production of these two plants were about 1 million tons per annum. So I would like the government to seriously go into this matter, take up this issue and speedily issue a great reformation that the gas and the associated infrastructure may be given to use that as the feedstock in both the revival of MFL and the SPIC. And I would also take to the notice of this August House, what are the government steps that the government has taken to prevent the manufacture and sale of substandard SSP? How about this government is going to take initiative to completely prevent the manufacture of substandard fertilizers? Is there a mandatory that these units for being eligible to claim the concession under the scheme is available? No. It has to be the grades of these rock phosphate, and periodical inspections by TAC should be initiated, should be emphasized to reduce the substandard SSPs. And also, there should be a proper control of the quality control. It should be ensured in the fertilizers. The FCO has laid down fertilizer-wise detailed specification, and you know that it can be sold in the country for agricultural purposes. But the substandard quantities are arriving at per procedure laid down by the FCO, but it has to be, the concern it should be, no subsidy should be payable for the substandard quantities, quality of the fertilizers. And it would revoke that this will happen in the future. And why directly the farmers are not given subsidies? The main objective of the government should always be reasonable, affordable prices for agriculture purposes, including the farmers that we are all backing on. So the objective is achieved through fixation of statutorily backed uniform MRP for urea and indicative MRP for fertilizers covered under the concession scheme, and on sale of decontrolled P&K fertilizers. And administratively, I know that it is not feasible to disperse subsidy directly to the farmers, which would require disbursement at the time of each purchase. And government will have to lift the price control, whether statutory or indicative, as for urea and decontrolled PK prices respectively. And it would be the market forces that would, otherwise it would be the market forces which will control the prices of fertilizers. So the main intention of this bill is to stop the killing or because we know that the farmers, many of them get suicide. Suicide has risen day by day. So our main concern should be reducing the fertilizer, improving more organic, because Amma has given, our Honorable Prachitalavi Amma has given to each and every household a cow and goats. Why? To improve the manure, the organic manure, which is rich in our country. We can improve our soil, fertile them with the rich organic manure. Why improve it? Because each and every household is now, the farmers, they get a cow. Amma has given free cows to household so that the organic manure gets improved. So improve the organic manure utility, and by wherein we can improve the fertility of the soil and improve the capacity of the farmers. Because nowadays people, they start selling their agricultural lands. Slowly it is becoming urbanization. Slowly it is becoming houses. But how to protect the farmers' livelihood, as well as how we in future we will have money, but we will have no food to eat. So it is, we have to go furthermore, improve the capacity of the farmers, how they can improve their livelihood, as well as this bill should be I support this bill.
Very
So it is highly supported because we need the government to take in a very good initiative of how to control the prices of fertilizers and improve the standard of living of the farmers. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm very grateful for giving me this opportunity.
Dr. Bhalchand Mangekar.
Sir, thank you very much for allowing me to participate in this debate on the important subject. Sir, I read this statement of objects and the reasons. I think taking into account the present position of Indian agriculture, this decision should have been taken much earlier. But though it is late, it is an important decision and I fully support it. Sir, we have been talking since the beginning that India lives in villages. But by saying India lives in villages, we don't refer to geographical destination of the people, nearly 60 or 65% today, as 35% is the rate of urbanization for the country as a whole. Though rate of urbanization differ from state to state depending upon the degree of industrialization. After 1991, during the last 24 years, if I may say so, and this is the collective responsibility of the nation, the importance which agriculture should have got, unfortunately did not receive sufficient attention compared to the industry and the services sector. As a result of which, according to the latest statistics of the Planning Commission and National Statistical Organization and the Economic Survey, the share of agriculture and allied sector in the GDP declined to barely 13.5%. This means that 65% of the total population of the country and around 56% of the total labor force still continue to depend upon agriculture and the allied activities as the main source of livelihood. Sir, we remember that 1965-66 and 66-67, they were the two drought years when the food grain production had declined from 79 million tons earlier to around 66 million tons and 64 million tons in these 2 years respectively. Indian public distribution system from 56 to 1966 was depending upon the PL480 import to the extent of 70%. Food was distributed through the PDS, through the PL480 wheat imports. And I was reading day before yesterday how first Prime Minister Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru reacted to this. Now these 1965-66 and 66-67, these 2 years were the watershed in the Indian agricultural economy. This gave the way for the new surge of expanding and increasing the agricultural production and productivity. This gave the way for the Green Revolution. And Green Revolution, I pay my tribute, rich tribute to the farmers of Punjab and Haryana, and subsequently to Tamil Nadu and Andhra Pradesh, where there was the rice revolution. This entire Green Revolution is called Seed, Fertilizer and Water Revolution. Sir, Agricultural Prices Commission, of which I was privileged to be a member for 6 months and then went to University of Mumbai, they have given 3 types of costs: paid out cost, and the notional cost that the farmers have to input for their own supplied or home supplied inputs, such as labor. Now, out of these paid out costs, fertilizer alone constitutes nearly 50%. This means that the agricultural productivity and production in India depended upon seed and fertilizer, but seed and fertilizer could not have made the Green Revolution. Green Revolution also was made possible because of the extended and expansive use of the fertilizer, thanks to the decision of the then Prime Minister Srimati Indira Gandhi to nationalize the major commercial banks in 1969 and provided easy credit to the farmers. Now, sir, since then much water has flown. There are several commissions and committees that went into examining the problems and the difficulties of the Indian agriculture. The latest report was given by Swaminathan Commission, and Professor Swaminathan had given presentation to the Planning Commission, which I was privileged to attend. And the Farmers Commission, Professor Swaminathan Committee came to the conclusion that nearly 45% of the farmers in the country, they were thinking to leave agriculture as an occupation. Now, this is basically the crisis of the Indian economy. And then I request the government, going beyond the party lines, to think about this as a national problem. Because history of economic development of the present developed and industrialized countries began with the development of agriculture. Japan, Meiji eras, the reforms, and subsequently China after 1976 introduced the household responsibility system. Sir, there are two important ways to increase the agricultural production. One, bringing more and more area under cultivation and going for extensive cultivation. And second, increasing the agricultural productivity of the selected areas, and by that way or through that mechanism to increase the agricultural production. Taking into account the total land available for cultivation today, we find that the land-man ratio is declining very fast. One reason is the total inheritance rights and the ancestral property land is getting divided, further divided and subdivided into the heirs of the parent or the original owners of the family. Now, these fragmented holdings, lack of adequate agricultural inputs such as fertilizer and irrigation, and then the adverse terms of trade. Sir, we all know adverse terms of trade means the agriculture prices compared to the industrial prices have been considerably low, and that is why agricultural profession has become nobody's profession. That's why this decision of providing to the farmers, I don't want to go into the logistics, that this decision of making fertilizer available to the farmers at the statutorily decided maximum retail price is most welcome. Sir, I will not take much time, but since I was dealing with agriculture for my PhD thesis, and this was the subject I humbly submit, that it is written here, after the decontrol, the prices of the phosphatic and potassic fertilizers registered a sharp increase in the market, which exercised an adverse impact on the demand and consumption of the same. I think hardly one can expect that contrary to these things would have happened. Sir, market forces are not only demand and supply forces. Market forces imply the bargaining power of different stakeholders in the economy. And so far this bargaining power is concerned, I must share with the House, and House is aware, that in January 1974, the then Prime Minister Srimati Indira Gandhi nationalized the wheat trade, saying that the market forces are acting detrimental to the interest of the consumers and the producers. The wheat prices rose phenomenally, and then the crisis came up, the oil crisis of the Gulf countries, and the fertilizer prices within 1 year increased by 92%. Under these conditions, when the then government realized that the earlier forces which were market forces were antisocial, the wheat trade nationalization which was done in January, February 1974 was once again denationalized, and the same market forces which were earlier considered as the antisocial, they were brought into operation. Sir, profit motive is the wild motive. Profit motive as such cannot be eliminated. But when profit motive is allowed to sway its own way, only sky is the limit. And it is from that point of view, I suggest and I appreciate this decision to provide the fertilizer to the farmers in adequate quantity and the affordable prices is the need of the hour if agriculture is not to suffer subsequently. Sir, what happened is, because of the NPK and the urea was highly subsidized compared to other two fertilizers, urea was used disproportionately. And the earlier decision was, and that was faulty decision, and number of people, including FAO, including Agriculture Prices Commission, everybody argues against, because some of the land in Haryana, Western UP and Punjab went out of cultivation because of salinization. Because anything which is subsidized available, then there is no incentive to make economies of scale by minimum use of the appropriate agricultural input. That is why this decision of reducing or going away with nutrient-based subsidy policy and to restore the earlier system of fixing the maximum retail price of fertilizer is extremely welcome. Sir, the last point, farmers are scattered. Now we consider different blocks and different sections of the society at different points of time. As recently the finance minister said that in the coming budget we shall not tax the middle class. I felt logic about it. The question is, this economy and this society committed to the welfare state. What is the meaning of welfare state? Sir, welfare state means the people, those who could not get sufficient amount of welfare in the process of economic development, those people want welfare. Now farmers as they are, around 75% are the small and marginal farmers. That's why it is not necessary only to decontrol the price, give the statutory maximum price and fix that price, and to control the profit motive. As I mentioned earlier, profit motive is important incentive, but there has to be limit to the profit motive. And from that point of view, this decision of once again going to the original decision and making fertilizer to the statutorily determined price and not to allow the manufacturers, the retailers and wholesalers the free jungle to make the maximum profits is absolutely most unwelcome, and that is why it is appreciated decision. All farmers in the country will appreciate this decision, and that is why this decision is most welcome. Thank you, sir, very much for your magnanimity.
Thank you, Narayanji. Sardar Sukhdev Singh Dinsar.
ये बिल लाया और मंगेलकर जी जो ऑनरेबल मेंबर हैं, उन्होंने जैसे कहा कि 60s में जब देश को कहीं से अनाज नहीं मिल रहा था तो पंजाब और अब हरियाणा दोनों इकट्ठे ही थे, तो उस वक्त ग्रीन रेवोल्यूशन लाकर इस देश को इतना अनाज दिया कि आज इसके भंडार भरे हुए हैं। उसमें फर्टिलाइजर का भी हिस्सा है। और ऑनरेबल मेंबर गुप्ता जी ने जब कहा कि बड़े किसान को नहीं देना चाहिए, पंजाब और हरियाणा में के, तो मैं कह सकता हूं कि बड़ा किसान अब कोई है ही नहीं, क्योंकि हमारे एक्ट है कि 18 एकड़ से ज़्यादा किसी के पास ज़मीन रह नहीं सकती, और कोई और किसी स्टेट में हो मैं नहीं कह सकता। लेकिन मैं मंत्री जी को, क्योंकि मेरे पास भी ये काफ़ी देर महकमा रहा है, 2 सजेशन देना चाहता हूँ। एक तो मैंने भी कोशिश की थी कि किसान को सीधा कैसे सब्सिडी दी जाए, लेकिन वहाँ पर भी कई प्रॉब्लम थी। हमने कई कॉन्फ्रेंसेस की, मीटिंग की, तो कहते हैं जिस पे लीज होगी, जो लीज पे लेता है किसान, उसको कैसे दिया जाएगा सब्सिडी। लेकिन आज क्योंकि हर छोटे से छोटे किसान का अपना बैंक अकाउंट है, जो प्रधानमंत्री जी ने ये शुरू किया है, जन धन योजना, इसलिए अब उस पर हमारी कामयाबी हो सकती है। एक तो मेरी ये सजेशन है कि इनको दोबारा उस पर विचार करना चाहिए, क्योंकि उसमें बिचौलिया ज़्यादा अभी भी पैसे ले जाता है, और इसलिए वो एक तो मेरी ये रिक्वेस्ट है कि दोबारा उसको फिर विचार करें। दूसरा है कि प्राइस तो फिक्स मेरा ख्याल है अभी भी, लेकिन उस पर ज़्यादा जो डीलर्स हैं वो ब्लैक कर लेते हैं। उस पर कैसे रोका जाए, क्योंकि गरीब किसान को, अमीर किसान तो जिसको है वो तो फिर भी नहीं देता, लेकिन उसको लूट लेते हैं। और मेरी एक ये भी है कि फर्टिलाइज़र कैसे जो उनके डीलर्स हैं उसको कैसे रोका जाए, कोई ऐसा सख्त कानून बना जाए कि किसान को उसी कीमत पर मिले जिस पर। एक अखीरली मेरी बात यह है कि वैसे तो आज ऑनरेबल मिनिस्टर ने कहा कि WTO के, मैं उनको बधाई भी देना चाहता हूं कि उन्होंने फूड सिक्योरिटी का जो यहाँ पर बयान दिया था उस पर कायम रही और वहाँ पर कामयाब हुए हैं कि सब्सिडी खत्म नहीं होगी। क्योंकि अगर वह सब्सिडी खत्म हो जाती है तो किसान तो पहले ही खुदकुशी कर रहा है, अगर सब्सिडी ना मिली तो किसान तो बिल्कुल ही खत्म हो जाएगा। इसलिए मेरी ये है कि सब्सिडी को कम भी नहीं करना चाहिए फर्टिलाइजर के लिए। अगर हम फूड सिक्योरिटी के लिए इतने चिंतित हैं तो उनके लिए भी मेरी है कि आप भी इस पर ध्यान दीजिए कि सब्सिडी खत्म नहीं होनी चाहिए। थैंक यू सर।
शुक्रिया। श्री बंदोपाध्याय जी।
Thank you, sir. I'm grateful to my colleague, Mr. Vivek Gupta, to have made this fertilizer an issue here. Sir, we achieved our independence in 1947, that is political independence. But we depended entirely on PL 480, Public Law 480 of the United States, for our food supply to India. We used to live from ship to mouth. Unless if the ships were diverted elsewhere, there used to be a semi-famine condition. So under that circumstances, Mrs. Gandhi thought about the whole concept of the green revolution, and seeds, fertilizer and other subsidies made the green revolution, which gave us the second freedom. So, and fertilizer was a critical issue in ensuring our second freedom. Now, sir, fertilizer is a double-edged sword. It makes the man survive, it also kills a man. Large number of suicides that have taken place all over India, farmer suicide, is mainly because they are unable to pay back the debt for the loans they have taken for fertilizers. Now, this is where the whole concept of the killer and this provider of life gets confused. Now, what I have a very simple point to make, I make this point: fertilizer is important, but fertilizer is, when the soil is light, it goes down and contaminates the water, and that is very dangerous for health. But without fertilizer, there will be no program. But what can be done is that large number of waste, animal waste, human waste, vegetable waste, forest waste, can be easily converted into biofertilizer. We should, in fact, government has given some emphasis on that, but we should take a major mission for promoting, producing biofertilizer as well as selling it to the in the market. I would suggest one simple point, sir, that there is a lot of black marketing quite often between fertilizer. Fertilizer may be sold through the ration shops or modified ration shops, wherever they are, at the prescribed price. At least with all the leakages, people do get their sugar, their kerosene, their wheat and rice from the ration shops. So if you add to that, then fertilizer will be also be issued at least in a minimum quantity that is required to the farmers. And there should be a card for the farmers who have how much land. On the basis of the land, they should get the quota of the fertilizer. At least the minimum quota should be given to them, rest they can go and purchase. But land leave I am suggesting because those who can afford beyond the ceiling point, beyond the threshold point, should not be given any subsidy because there is a heavy drain on us and our exchequer, and we are getting into problem. So with these two thoughts, I leave it to the, I request you to the Honorable Chair to take it, to ponder over it. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Shri C.P. Narayan.
The issue of fertilizer price and the availability of fertilizer comes up when we consider the issue of the agriculture in India. My learned former speakers have dealt with the various aspects of that. Now, I want to speak about the changing condition of the farmers and peasants and agriculture workers in the country. Now, we are giving lot of encouragement to those who are in the business sector, whether they are industrialists or the merchants or others. Or we are also giving lot of promotion to those who are employed as government officials or employees in private institutions. Now, compared to them, they are given various, I don't want to go into details, with the way in which their life, their income is increased. And we have got a lot of statistics to show that their incomes are increasing. Whereas, you take the section of agriculture, those who depend on agriculture, about 65% of the population. So many crores of them, they are depending on a decreasing area. As Professor Mungekar has pointed out, the percentage of our GDP, the share of our agriculture in GDP is shrinking, and whereas the number of people who are depending on our agriculture, that their percentage is not shrinking. So naturally, per capita income of those who are involved in the field of agriculture, it is decreasing. This has to be increased. Now, one way of attacking that problem is to take care of the availability of fertilizer. Now, here the bill is regarding the chemical fertilizers. But as my learned friend Shri Bandyopadhyay has mentioned, we have to depend on the biofertilizers. And if the two slogans which our Prime Minister has put forth before the nation, Swachh Bharat and Adarsha Gram, if these two slogans have to be any meaning, we have to depend on, we have to concentrate on converting the waste, all kinds of waste which he was referring to. They have to be converted into biofertilizers. And we have to, the application of biofertilizer to our fields and to our all other kinds of land where we develop various kinds of crops. Now, when you compare, we always compare from the treasury side or from the main opposition side, we always compare ourselves with China. Now, you take the case of biofertilizer. I have read and I have been told by certain friends who have gone and worked in China for years that per season, per year, they apply as much as 19 to 20 tons of fertilizer per hectare in their land. Whereas in India, this is less than 5 tons. So there is a great difference. And if we make use of all the bio waste, which now we are putting it into the Ganga or other rivers or other water bodies. If they are properly treated and used for our farming operations, then we will be able to increase our productivity, which will help to increase the per capita income of the farmers, peasants, and agricultural laborers. So we have to, the problem we have to attack is huge, because as many as I think 70 or to 80
So
crores of
please,
people.
you may continue.
Yes.
Next turn.
Yeah, I will do.
So thank you.